Hi you guys! Yes, I do have a stack of books on my head, and that's because they are part of the fall reading list that I'm going to recommend to you guys. I have compiled a list of all the books that I think just give the best fall vibes in the world that I think would be great for you to tuck into as the weather gets colder and gloomier and all the stuff that I just love. Super quick, could you like and subscribe? I put books on my head for you guys. Just give it a quick thumbs up and a quick subscribe so you can keep seeing me do stuff like this and other fun stuff and other stories. Aspects that I pick out that might qualify a book for being a fall read usually has to do with the vibes. Dark and dank and dreary and a little bit of rot and decay going on, then I think that fits fall. If there's a lot of strangeness and quirkiness going on, I feel like it fits this time of year, especially like kind of Halloween. Underlying threats or stakes that pervade the entire book, when you can tell something is just wrong. When there's something just inherently wrong with the situation in the book, those four things are really what I'm thinking about when I talk about why I think it fits fall. I'm just gonna tear through these, give quick little summaries about what they're about and why I think they fit fall. I'm not going to give like super long, in-depth reviews. I'm also not going to give content warnings or anything like that, so make sure you check those out yourself. Or if I have a video on it that I've already done before, I will put it up here. First is The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. This follows Rennie Muldoon and three of his friends, all of whom are quirky prodigies in their own way, and they get recruited by Mr. Benedict to go into a school, a boarding school that has some deep secrets that might lead to world domination. The place is called Stone Town and everything is just being described as very drab, very gray. These are still in my head. How am I doing this? The next one I'm going to say is The Reader by Tracy Chee. This follows Sephia, who lives in a world where there are no words, no books, no reading, but actually there are words, there is a book, and there is reading, and it leads to magic, it leads to power, and Sephia has that book, but she doesn't know it. So when she goes on a mission to rescue her guardian, she finds out that there are people who are after her and after the power that she holds. It is one of my probably top 20, top 15 favorite books of all time. The atmosphere is fantastic. It really is just this dark, whimsical fantasy, kind of foresty and kind of threatening, and so I think that's a really good fall read if it's just rainy or snowy outside. Okay, they fell off. All right, you'll see what these are at the very end, I promise. Third up, I'm going to do Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. This follows Akos and Syra, who are members of opposing tribes, opposing powers on this planet, and both of them have fates, which are destinies that don't change based on people's choices. They always stay the same and there's always the same outcome. And those fates are intertwined. As those fates intertwine, they find out there's more to each other than they first expected and more to themselves as well. Great outer spacey atmosphere. Now you may be wondering, how can an outer spacey atmosphere feel like fall? And I don't know, it just does. It feels cold. There's a lot of cold going on because the planet is really cold. And there's some war, there's some grunge, there's some damage, and there's just a lot of little things that give it just this generally dark, slightly anxious vibe. Fourth, Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor. This follows Johnny, who wants to take her little sister and get hired by the Hotel Magnifique, which is this amazing, wonderful, magical hotel that only appears once every 10 years, and Johnny wants the better life that it may entail, but once they actually get into the Hotel Magnifique, turns out things are a little bit darker than originally thought. The magic in this book is so incredible. Next up is, oh, I have one of them here. This doesn't count. I'm turning around. The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. 8 different people who all live in the same apartment building, but they don't really seem to have many connections other than that, except when they're all included in the will of the very mysterious Sam Westing, who is going to leave his entire estate to one of them if they can figure out his riddles. And it's such a fun book. The mystery inside it is lighthearted, but also it's so investing. Like, you're so invested in all of these characters. It does take place in the fall, and those feels, that weather going on, there's a haunted house involved, a dead body. Divergent by Veronica Roth. I got another Veronica Roth book in here. Unlike Carve the Mark, which takes place in space, this takes place, well, you might already know where it takes place, but I'm going to say it anyway. It takes place in futuristic Chicago, where people are divided into 5 factions, and you must fit into and abide by one of those factions, otherwise you're ostracized. Beatrice wants to be part of one of the factions, but there's something special about her. She's divergent. She fits into more than one, and that makes her dangerous. And I love this book for fall, first of all, because of the cover. I mean, just look at it. It's got a fire, kind of like a jack-o'-lantern. It's got this, like, great cloud of smog, this dingy city. I don't know when it takes place. Part of me kind of feels like it takes place during the summer. Just the way that the Dauntless compound was described with this underwater cavern and the crumbling city and the factionless sector. And for me, it's comfort food because this was the original for me. Got another one in a row in the stack behind me, and that is The Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. This is literally from the point of view of a devil. It's about a devil trying to teach a younger devil how to be most effective in temptation, and it's so much fun. It's weird, and the stuff that he talks about, it's like so coherent and it makes sense. And the cool thing is that C.S. Lewis kind of weaves actual like truths and thoughts and stuff into it, but it feels completely natural in this setting. And just well, what more can I say? It's from the point of view of a devil, but it still ends with good in victory, which I think is so important. Scythe by Neil Schusterman. This follows Rowan and Citra, who are both young people in a futuristic world where there is no more death at all because science has fixed all of it. And so in order to control population, people have decided that there will be scythes, individuals trained, and specifically their purpose in life is to kill people to maintain the population. And Citra and Rowan hate that, but that's why they're chosen to be scythes in training. This book is just dark because it's about, well, death and using killing as population control and the meaning of life and the meaning of death and killing, and it's all like this commentary on that messed up subject, and it relies so heavily on world building that is just phenomenal. Now, this one doesn't have like grunge at all because it's futuristic and everything is supposed to be perfect in this utopian world where nobody dies because there's no sickness and there's no injury and science has fixed all of that. But just that underlying tone, this is a lot of focus on death and killing. And if you're looking for that kind of like, ooh, okay, here we go, we're reading this, I think it's a great book. Outside by Shalini Boland. This follows Riley, who lives in the perimeter, which is this bubble of safety in a dystopian world where outside the perimeter or perimeters, it's just a mess. Everything's wild, there's no law, and people die and get mugged and all kind of nasty stuff like that. But when her little sister Sky gets killed, she leaves the perimeter to go find the killer. And it's a murder mystery, and if you look at my video that I did on it, because I actually ARC read it for the republication, it really was just strange. Like, it was a bunch of strange events happening in a row, and I loved it. Just give it a little adjust right here. Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I'm tempted to not even tell you what it's about because it's so absolutely famous, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Katniss Everdeen lives in this dystopian future, and every year to keep the common people in line, the government puts on these Hunger Games where two tributes, a boy and a girl from every district, are taken and put in this arena to fight to the death. Now, Katniss is not picked, her little sister is, and there's no way she's going to let that happen, so she jumps into the Hunger Games, and she's gonna win to get back to her little sister. I can't talk about how much of a heart race this book is. You are constantly just fearful. At the beginning, woods, quiet, coal mines, dirt, looming death. Then you go to the capital and there's all kind of luxury, which is scary in its own way. People who have that much wealth and are doing evil things with it, that is messed up. And then you go into the Hunger Games where she's fighting for her life against all these other people who are bigger and better than her, and it is just frightening the whole time. Next up, I'm going to talk about White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. This follows Marigold, who goes with her family and step-family to a brand new home. They've had to relocate because of things that have just not gone well for Marigold in the past, and she's trying to start fresh, but it's really hard in this new place, not only for her because of what's going on inside her, but because messed up things are going on in this house and in this neighborhood. It is a haunted house story. It is so much fun. Like, water's turning on, there's dark smells, there are little hands and shadows and stuff moving around. It's a fun Halloween book, but it leaves you feeling really good at the end. I'm going to say the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. This specific trilogy was not for me personally. I didn't totally connect with it as well as a bunch of other people did, but it fits the vibe so well. You've got this, again, muddy, wet, fall, winter, sleet and frozen mud environment, and you got some dark magic going on. I mean, the guy is called the Darkling, and he summons shadows. Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. Now, I have actually only read the first 3, and I only have book 2, but I love the first 3. It follows Harry. I'm tempted not to explain this one either because of its fame, but Harry one day finds out that he's a wizard, and he attends Hogwarts Boarding School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and it's about his adventures there, finding out that he is involved in some high stakes, as in world stakes, stuff against dark wizards. Dark wizards, magic, a poltergeist, all kind of just like fun little quirky Halloween stuff. It's like, this is Halloween put into a book and made fun and snappy. Snappy like fall air. Then we have As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. Okay, if you want to be scared this Halloween, don't go watch Jigsaw 10 or Halloween 24, whatever next slasher film that they're coming up with. Okay, I want you to go home. I want you to take this book. I want you to wait until it's dark out and turn out all the lights except a lamp behind you. And I want you to read this book. I promise you, by the end of it, you will be seeing shadows where there are no shadows. You will be checking corners. Your heart will be beating, and you will not know what to do with yourself. It is so frightening because what happens feels real. Go check out my video about it here. It is the third of a trilogy, but I felt like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl, Bad Blood. They both felt like summer reads to me. Even though they were mysteries, they felt like summer mysteries. But it's not done being summer yet. So go read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, go read A Good Girl, Bad Blood, and when it's Halloween, sit down, turn out the lights, read this book, and find yourself just frightened at the reality of life. And by the way, you might want to turn off all of your Bluetooth devices. People who have read it, get it. Leigh Bardugo again, King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, and oh my goodness, these ones definitely were for me. King of Scars follows King Nikolai of the Shadow and Bone series, as well as his general Zoya Nazialewski, and Ravka is in danger again, enemies on all sides, and Zoya and Nikolai are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that their country is safe, even if it means releasing inner demons and monsters. Now you got more quirks, more monsters, more icky stuff that's just so ridiculously good. And then Rule of Wolves is the sequel, and it's got that same atmosphere. Loki's Wolves by K.L. Armstrong and M.A. Marr. It follows Matt and his friends, who are all descendants of Norse gods in modern South Dakota. They basically need to stop Ragnarok from happening since the gods themselves can't because they're dead, but their descendants have to. Picture Percy Jackson, but more serious and more dark fall vibes. It's got all the darkness and strangeness of Norse mythology, but all the heart of Percy Jackson. Ashes by Ilse J. Bick follows Alex, who has brain cancer, but then as she's hiking in the woods one day, got the woods already, there is some strange electromagnetic pulse that just blasts through. All of a sudden, people, except a select few, including Alex, are turned into flesh-eating zombies. Except they're not dead, but they're eating people, and they have no minds left. And it's just icky. She's running from people without minds who want to eat her in the woods. The Stag series by M.A. Bennett. I've only read the first two, Stags and Dogs, but it follows Greer, who is this young woman who is a scholarship student to the St. Adrian the Great School, which is this boarding school that seems to carry mostly aristocratic, old money, young people. Greer and her set of friends find out that there's some dark things going on with the people in this school and their secret lives. It's just creepy. You know something's messed up. You know something icky is going on. You know that there's some relationships that are just like, no, what is going on? I need people to figure this out, and I need this nonsense, this ickiness to stop. And of course, England in the rain and the fall and the cold the whole time. Fall. Yes, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This follows Kaz Brekker and the closest members of his gang who are gonna, in book one, help him to complete this impossible heist. And then the second book is about protecting their own and protecting their honor. I've already told you guys, I love Kaz Brekker. Ketterdam, where they live, dirty, disease. This place just feels like wet and mold and fog. There's messed up stuff going on behind the scenes, but something is going to wind up going very right at the end. Dark fantasy, everything I want. And now we get to the stuff on my head. I can stop balancing it considering it just fell off. Okay. Last book. I think I can keep that there. Poisoned and Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly. Oh my goodness, these two are in my top 3 books of all time. Stepsister follows Isabel, who is Cinderella's stepsister, and Isabel has to deal with the repercussions of not having her side of the story told and learning to find herself and her beauty. The sequel, Poisoned, follows Sophie, a princess who has such a tender heart, but her stepmother wants to harden that heart because stepmother believes that women have to be hard and harsh in order to survive and in order to rule, and she wants to train Sophie up. But then one day Sophie becomes a threat, and the stepmother sends a huntsman after her. It's about Sophie's struggle to survive. These are like the most amazing dark fantasies I've ever read. They do not cut corners. They do not sugar powder things. These are raw and real. They get right to the heart of it. They don't mess around. They're so beautifully told. And again, the dark environment, icky forests, these enemies, death all over the place. Go read them immediately. They are so good. I don't even want to think about what my hair looks like right now. I'm just gonna go like this. Ah! Last up is Babel by R.F. Kuang. Okay. Whenever the next rainy, drizzly day is, the next perfect fall day, I want you to clear your schedule, get a blanket, and a cup of hot chocolate. sit down on the couch and read this book cover to cover. You will not be disappointed. If you are getting married that day, clear your schedule, sit down and read this book. I'm kidding, but I'm serious. That is how good it is. It's a dark academia book that follows Robin Swift, who was taken from his native China at a young age and brought to England, where he learned to become a translator for the English Empire, because translators have this very special gift where they can imbue magic into silver, and this silver runs all of England and the English Empire and its military. Robin and his friends know that England is using them to then go colonize and conquer other nations, and Robin and his friends have to decide, what are they going to choose? England or what's right? And dark is right. It feels dark the whole time. The highest stakes and your heart involved the whole time. Read it, read it, read it, read it. Whew, that is quite the stack. You know, at first I was thinking about trying to balance this whole thing on my head, and then I was like, no. I hope that you have found at least a couple things that you're excited to read this fall. Let me know in the comments if you read any of these things and if you liked them and what you thought. Thank you so much for being here with me today, you guys. I had such a great time. Please have a great day and God bless. Bye-bye.